Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Welcome to your Cricut neighborhood. My name is Cheryl, and I'll be showing you how I created this birthday layout. I'm using all Cricut images, as well as Cricut Access. I've used mostly traditional girl colors for this layout. Feel free to change any of the colors to suit you. All the pattern papers that I used in this layout came from a paper pack called Cornflower Cottage. I got it at Michael's last week and I got it on sale. Feel free to check it out. It's a really pretty paper. There's just so many pretty papers in there. The cardstock that I used came from this 12 by 12 Essentials pack, again from Michael's, as well as I used for the ducks, and anything that's yellow came from this 8.5 by 11 paper pack, and it's called Citrus. There's also an orange in here that you can use as well for the bills and stuff. Okay, let's get busy. I'm gonna start by creating the base pages for both of these pages together, and then we'll branch out and do the images. It just seems to flow better that way. So let's do that. So I'm just gonna remove all of my ducks and get my ducks in a row. So I'm just gonna remove all of those. And this, and my birthday banners. And my grass. And I'm just gonna lay those off to the side for a minute, and then we'll get going on this. Oh, there's his eyeball. Okay, so I'm gonna take these mats off as well. I did go ahead and glue my mats together just for the sake of time. So I'll remove this. And that gets us down to just the base pages. So these two pages, these two blue pages, came from that Cornflower pattern paper book. These two as well. So this is your 12 by 12. These are cut to 11.5 by 11.5. And I've gone ahead and added suquang all around the edges of this 11.5 by 11 sheet. And then we're just gonna lay that on there, just like that. And then hold down your paper and just remove this one edge. Lay it down. And then go ahead and remove the other 3 edges and lay those down. And then do the same over here. You're going to have 1/4 inch all the way around. And again, just hold it with your arm. Lift up your paper, remove one side, let it go down. You don't get any wrinkles, you don't get any bubbles from liquid glue. And I just like to hold it. And then I take off my other 3 sides. And you want to do at minimum of 2 of them at the same time, otherwise you won't be able to get at it. So just go ahead, I take all 3 off, lay it down, and now you've got a nice base to work with. Now, these 2 pieces of paper are going to go here like this and here like this. So both of them are going to go in the left-hand corner. I don't want to attach these just yet because I do have this scallop on here, which is going to be cut on the Cricut, so I need to wait to do that. But we've got these two laid down, so now we're going to work on our mats. So our mats are cut at, the square ones are cut at 4.5 by 4.5, and then the lavender is cut at 4 and 4. You're going to need 3 of those. So 4.5 by 4.5, and then 4 by 4. You'll need 3 of those. Now I've gone ahead and glued those together. My colors, so the blue in this is the same as the base color. And then the rectangle ones, these are both cut at 4.25 by 6.25. And then the lavender is 4 by 6. So you go ahead and you make those and get those done. And then just lay them aside. They're not going to be used just yet. We'll come back to those as well. So now we've got a nice base to work with. So we're going to start making some of our images in Design Space. All right, so now let's see, what are we going to work on first? I don't know if I told you or not, but I know I did. The 12 by 12, this one's 11.5 by 11.5. This top layer here is so pretty. This just reminds me of rain or water or something. And then this one reminds me of a pond. So, but this one is 8 by 9.75. So you can go ahead and cut that. You need 2 of those. Not 8 by 9.75. We're not attaching this one just yet until we get our scallop. So we'll just lay that there just like that. And then in Design Space, the scallop is simply called scallop it's called scallop border in Design Space. And you'll have to scroll down. This one I cut at 9.75, so it's exactly the same as the piece of paper that we just cut. It comes out when you add it in Design Space. It should come out at 9.75 high. So watch what you're doing, the height and the width. And it comes up at 0.887 for the width. So this is the width. It's not quite an inch. But your height is going to be 9.75. And just search scalloped border. It's there, you just got to search for it a little bit. And then, so we're just gonna get that one on your Cricut mat. Don't cut it yet. And then, but I did go ahead, when I did cut it, I inked it with Seedless Preserves. And I just lightly went over it. So anything that gets cut that is in this light lavender will have Seedless Preserves inked around the edges. Because there's some balloons that are all inked around the edges. And that's all done with the Seedless Preserves. And this will all come up on the one mat as you add it. When you go to cut it, your balloons and your lavender scallop border will cut at the same time. It just helps to save paper and mats when you're cutting stuff. So you're going to have your balloons. We'll come back to those. We've done the mats. So now let's work on the grass, because we're gonna need 2 of these. Again, in Design Space, it's just called grass. It's nothing fancy, just called grass. It looks like a lot of the ones in Design Space. You'll just have to scroll down until you find it. I did ink the edges of this and the little blades of grass. I lightly inked them with peeled paint. It's just very lightly, just to give it a little bit of dimension. And I cut the grass at 11.5, and then so that's 11.5. And then we can go ahead and attach our grass, but only attach along the bottom edge. So on the inside, go just along the bottom edge. Don't, your little blades of grass, don't glue those down. And then just attach it just along the pattern paper, just like that. And then do the same over here. Just like that. So anything green, is going to cut at the same time on the same mat. So that's why we don't go ahead and cut individual pieces. Just wait until we get all the pieces together before you start cutting on the Cricut, because you'll have little bits and pieces. So once we've got all of our pieces cut in Design Space, and I'll show you what we're doing. So you're going to have the grass at 11.5. You're going to have your scallop border at 9 3/4. So that's your first pieces that you're going to cut, would be the scallop border. That way you can go ahead and get that attached. I used Suquang again. For the gluing down this border, I just used a little bit of liquid glue. Very, very little. It holds so well. So I inked it first, and then I attached it to the 9 3/4 side. If you're using a pattern paper, with any kind of a design, make sure your pattern is going in the same direction on both pieces. And then you can go ahead and attach that to there. So now you've got 12 by 12, 11.5 by 11.5. You've got 8 by 9 3/4, and your scallop is also 9 3/4 high. That's what we have to remember. It's the height. We've found our grass, and we've cut that at 11.5. So now both pieces are, everything this far is attached. Now's the fun part. So our little ducky, oops, lost an eyeball again. I keep losing these eyeballs because I want them to be white. And for some reason, I cut them on a different color. So our little duck, this one is going to be 4.5 by 6. Now I don't know. No, it didn't. So what I did was I took a silhouette of the duck. I didn't cut out the little pieces, his feet and his bill. And I cut it out of black just to give it that extra little weight. I glued that together first, and then I went around the edges on my duck and all of his feet and his bill. I used all the same color on anything that's yellow. got the same color. Oops, that's gonna crack off. So no matter what it is, I didn't do the balloons because they're gonna be covered. But my little ducks are all done with wild honey. Very lightly, just around the edges, and the orange, all done with wild honey. So now we can put when we cut our duck, like I said, the black you're gonna cut and attach. The yellow, when you add your images into Design Space and arrange them, the yellow for the duck and this yellow will be the same. So you're gonna get, if you're using 8.5 by 11, it's gonna take 2 sheets to do this. If you're using a 12 by 12, then you should be able to get both images on there. I used foam squares to give him a little bit of height. I'm just gonna lay him there for now. I'm not quite ready to attach him. Now, I will tell you that these measurements, I will put them, I'll write them out in the comment section and just let them be in there as the pin, I think it's called a pin comment or something, so that you can see what the measurements are afterwards. Or just keep going back over the video so that you know where you are. It is a process, but it turns out super cute. So now we've got this little ducky cut, and his feet, and his bill. So his feet I just glued on. His bill, I did use a little pop dot in there just to give him some dimension. For his little bill, his eyes I didn't pop dot. These are just 2 little pieces of black, and he does have little white spots for his eyes. I'm going to have to go back and recut those. So now we've got 12 by 12, 11.5. Our grass is 11.5. 8 by 9 3/4, 9 3/4 for the scallop. And then we've made our ducky, and it's 4.5 by 6, so 4.5 inches from feather to feather, and 6 from toe to the little feathers on his head. We're just gonna lay him there, and I did pop dot him. And then the same with this guy. Now he becomes a little more complicated. Sorry if you can hear the dogs barking. Their friend just came out to play. So this yellow and this yellow are the same. And you'll notice that the balloons are attached to the duck. So he cuts in black and yellow. And then we'll piece our colors on top of that. But these two cut the same color as him. But these 3, for their little shine, are a different color yellow. So what I did was I went back in with the same color yellow as the shines in these balloons and cut out a whole other duck. It was just simple to grab the same color, cut out another duck, and then I just cut the duck off. And I'm going to use those under there, just like that. And then I'll attach my balloons as well. And there we go. That'll go like that. So you'll notice that these are the same color as this, as well as his hat. So anything that's this lavender color will cut at the same time in Design Space on the same mat. Here's another one that's cut the same color. So it actually doesn't take as long as it looks. So now that we've got our duck cut and our I believe he does cut in a silhouette because we need the black for this, so he'll be strong enough. I did pop dot him up, and I also pop dotted up his wing. So in there, I hope you can see that, his little wing is pop dotted. And I inked him before gluing him on so that I could lift up his wing and just get a little bit of the wild honey under there. So anything yellow and orange, I just did with wild honey. And then we're just gonna lay her over here and just let them be for a minute. So now it's time to finish off over here. So over here, we've now glued down our grass and we've laid little ducky in place. So now we're gonna put the mats on. And again, don't glue them down, just lay them in place for a minute. Just like that. And then 2 of the 4.5s. One goes there. And the reason we didn't attach these is so that this can slide in under some of the grass, not all, but some. So it kind of gives it a little bit of dimension. And then I want that to go there. So I'm lining the edge of this up with the edge of this. Actually, I think I'm going to move it down a little bit. Yeah, I think I will. Because then we'll be able to see a little bit more of the scallop. Not too much, maybe a bump or two. And then line that up there. Again, maybe just a little bit like that. I don't want to see the whole scallop, but... And then line those up. And then this one just lines up across. Little ducky's gonna... I've lined up the duck so that the feathers on the left they don't go over the edge of the blue, but they do overlap the blue. So now that we've got all of that laid in place, brings us to our banners. So these were cut, so by the time we've cut everything out, we'll end up with banners. Because they're just on the same colors, everything's lined up the same, and we can make our little banner. I've inked everything with the same colors as the grass, which was peeled paint. The duck and the orange were wild honey. And then we've got pink, which was picked raspberry. Such a pretty color. And then this pink, or the darker pink, is also done with wild raspberry. The purple, I believe, was Seedless Preserves. Yes, Seedless Preserves was the purple. Now, if you choose not to ink, that's fine. Your page is going to look lovely no matter what you do. So all I'm doing is I'm lifting this up a little like that. So everything needs to get lifted just like that. And then you can kind of arrange that however you want. Just like that. And just touch. Just add a little teensy piece of glue underneath one of your flags by just lifting one up. Little dot of glue. That's all you need. You don't need to glue every single one down. It's not really going out into a windstorm. So now that that one's there and it's attached, this one here, we're going to do exactly the same. Just put it under. And actually, I think I'll go this way with this one. You can just kind of play with it and put them where you like, but just like that. And again, a little dollop of glue on the underside of one of these. Don't put glue on these ones because it overlaps on the photo, and we haven't added photos yet. So, and then again with these, now you can take your ducky and remove some of the, you don't even need to remove them all, the protective bits on the back of your duck. And we're going to lay her down. Don't remove the one on the top because that one's going to be overlapping onto your photo. So don't remove that one, but all the other ones, go ahead. So that's going to go there. And now for your mat, without disturbing anything, just peel off your Suquang. Again, I did use Suquang on here. Just peel that off. And you don't even need to Suquang all the way around. As long as you do two sides, it's going to stay in place. We don't need to go crazy with the Suquang. Same over here. We're just going to lift one side, lay it down, lift the other side, and lay it down. And then the grass, same thing. So now we've got stuff under and stuff over. Again, just go like that. Peel that one off. Carefully lift and just peel that one off. And then that page is done. That side of the layout is done. I don't think I mentioned how big I cut these banners. I'm gonna have to look. I believe the banners are 4.6 wide, and that makes them come up at 1.14 high. And then you attach all the pieces together. Now we're back over here. We've got all of this attached. Our little ducky is just sitting here. She's popped up on I almost said pop, oh my gracious goodness. Pop dots, pop squares, foam squares. Sorry, I couldn't get that one right. So she's popped up on foam squares. And then our mats, one's gonna go that way. And then the same thing with this one. Just let it tuck in and out. Just so that it's like that. There we go. And this one needs to go over really far. It needs to go over here. So just, so about right there. And then this one also lines up. Just like that. And then you can go ahead and attach your photo mats. Again, don't use too much adhesive or Suquang. I will tell you that on this mat here, try to avoid, for the moment, you can go ahead and put whatever you want there, but leave this edge open for the moment, because we're going to be tucking our balloons inside, just like that. Then our balloons cut the same time as we cut the black for our eyes and our silhouette. For our duck, the black cut, and there's also black behind him. So anything that was black, cut at the same time. So just move this around until you get it where you want it, and then you can put your balloons on. So the purple balloon is inked with the preserves. What did I say that was called? Seedless preserves? Yes, seedless preserves. This color is also in the paper pack, but it's a very light color. So you could almost do it white if you wanted. That would get you your little whites for his eyes. I'd already had it cut before I realized that, but it's a very pale color, almost a sea foam, but very pale. But what makes it look nice is I went over it with the peacock feathers, and it just made it pop. So yeah, so I did that with the peacock feathers, and it was very pretty. And then again, the pink, all the pinks are done with the picked raspberry. And they can just go there. So So I just want to move it up just a bit because I do want some overlapping. There we go. There we go. Go like that. And yeah, you can overlap your balloons. There we go. That looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and attach these to the page. And that'll be done. We've got our mats. Now, our duck is not quite ready yet because, well, it should be ready to be finished now because we've got our pinks cut, which will then cut our 3. So now with this 3, I had to be tricky. So I found the 3 and it cut for its outline little skews to go in there. I decided I just wanted an offset. So I just highlighted my 3, told it an offset, and I put my offset at 0.15. And I just made a shadow for it, an offset. And that is going to go right there. Now, I'm just going to glue that down and not interfere with the photo mat. And then this guy, the birthday guy, there's my little eye for my duck. There we go. This one here came with its own shadow, its own base, a happy birthday. And it comes, it's happy and birthday are 2 colors. This is multiple colors. But what I did was I made them both the same color. Everything's the same color. And then the underneath part is an offset. So I got rid of the one that came with it and I made an offset, again, 1.15. And I just glued my pieces on. I am missing the little fringe for his hat, and there's some other colors that go on here. Somehow I misplaced them, so I'll have to recut those. But then that's going to just fit there perfectly on an angle, just like that. And then that's done. Now for our duck, it had multiple layers. So I popped up his wing, but then for the balloons, because they're cut when they start off, they start black, except for these 2 are yellow. And you do cut the 3 shines, and your 2 banner pieces are all the same color. So I went back in and like I said, I cut another duck and just cut these off. And then these cut when I cut this balloon, these 2 pieces cut. So I'm just going to adhere those together, just like that. Oh, yep. You got to be careful because they're different sizes. So I'm going to put that together like that, and then attach it right there. And then that gives me everything the same color. And it is inked with the reserves. Same with this guy. It does have a little notch out of there, because that's that. Doesn't matter, because this balloon doesn't have it, and it's going to cover that nicely, like that. And I think I might have put this one the wrong way, so it's got to go this way. Because my shine also goes that way. I just line that up just like that. So now all my shines are going in the same direction. And I can attach that. My present is the same 2 colors as my title. All is good. This balloon is the same color. This balloon is the same color. The little flags on the banner are the same color, and the 3 is the same color. So all of that's going to cut at the same time. I don't recall exactly how many mats there are, but it's not as long as it looks. So there we go. We now have our page complete. If you have any questions, let me know. Leave them down below. and I'll try and answer them as soon as I can. I will leave the measurements down there. If you want and you have access, then send me a message. Don't leave your email down in the comments, but send me a message and leave me a comment as well, letting me know that you sent me a message. And I can link my design in Design Space to you. And you just have to open it and all the cuts and stuff will be laid out. It's going to tell you that some stuff won't cut because it's too big. You'll have to hide those by clicking the little little eyeball. Because the 12 by 12, of course, you don't cut. The 11.5 will be on the screen, but you don't cut it on the screen. And I think that's the only two that need to be hidden. Everything else will be on the screen, and your mats, you don't cut those in Design Space either. You can, but I didn't. I just cut them with my cutter. And then, so yeah, so leave me a comment and let me know that you want the link for this, and I'll get that sent off to you. And then you just have to cut and assemble. Make it easy. All right, I hope you enjoyed this today. It is my first video ever, and I enjoyed putting it together for you. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. So that's our video for today, and I hope you'll join me again in our next video.